There's also a conspiracy that we actually never did drop a bomb on Japan, but it was something else, but not a bomb. Yeah. So if you haven't, so obviously by your
Look at that. I've
reaction,
never heard that.
yeah,
And I'm like, what could it be?
recently,
My mind
not
was spinning.
too long ago, I just saw it that nuclear bombs aren't even real life.
What?
That part is a conspiracy to keep us afraid, and that's been the thing the whole time, is it's never been real.
Hey everybody, welcome into Folklore and Flourish. You're here with Jane and Mark, and Molly is back again over at Blue Box 29. Today is February 24th. We are in the final week of February already. We are at Love Beyond Life. In our month of sacred bonds and the beloved and the binder, we've gone through a lot. Finding love, walking with love, love being tested, love being lost, found, and now we are love beyond life. Today is all about the legacy. So our theme is that love creates futures. So the legacy of what our love leaves behind, what it creates, what doors it opens for others. Okay, our 4 stories today come from Hebrew, Roman, Japanese, and Ghanaian folklore. So here are your 4 stories, and we'll see you after that. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the cultures behind the stories we are about to explore. The tales shared here come from many peoples, lands, and traditions. I do not change these stories to fit modern expectations or to align with today's social standards. Instead, I present them as they were told, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harsh, sometimes challenging. We are not here to judge the past, but to understand it, to listen, to learn, and to honor the ancestors who carried these stories forward. We also share stories from various religious traditions. These are presented in their historical and spiritual context, with respect for their beliefs that they represent. Every culture deserves respect, context, and acknowledgement, and this space is dedicated to doing exactly that. Story 1. Abraham and Sarah. In the Hebrew tradition, legacy begins with a promise. Abram and Sarai, later renamed Abraham and Sarah, were not young when their story turned toward the future. They were already seasoned by years, already marked by waiting. Yet it was to them that a covenant was spoken. Leave your land, leave your certainty, leave what you know. In return, Abraham was promised descendants as numerous as the stars. Sarah laughed, not in disbelief of love, but in disbelief of biology. She was barren, they were aged, the future seemed biologically sealed. Yet covenant does not measure itself by likelihood, it measures itself by faith. Their union had already endured migration, famine, conflict, and doubt. They had crossed deserts together, they had survived foreign courts, they had navigated fear and frailty. But legacy required more than endurance, it required trust. When Isaac was born, he was not merely a child. He was a continuation of promise. His name means laughter, a quiet echo of Sarah's earlier astonishment. What once seemed impossible became lineage. Through Isaac would come Jacob. Through Jacob, the tribes of Israel. From this single marriage would arise a people defined not merely by bloodline, but by covenantal identity. The story of Abraham and Sarah becomes a root of Judaism. From that root would later grow Christianity. From the broader Abrahamic tradition would also emerge Islam. 3 major world religions trace spiritual ancestry to this pair. Their love did not found an empire in stone. It founded a people bound by promise. Abraham's covenant was not simply paternal. It was relational. It bound future generations into a shared story. Sarah's motherhood was not only biological, it symbolized faith that future can emerge from barrenness. Their union becomes archetype. Love anchored in promise produces continuity. Theirs was not an easy partnership. Tensions arose around inheritance, around Hagar and Ishmael, around questions of succession. Yet even these fractures became part of a larger unfolding narrative that shaped history. Their legacy was not perfection. It was endurance under covenant. Centuries later, their names are invoked in prayer. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob remains certain in Jewish liturgy. Sarah is remembered as matriarch, not merely wife. Their marriage did not simply produce a child, it produced a lineage, it produced law, it produced faith. Legacy in this tradition is not measured by monuments. It is measured by generations who still tell the story. Abraham and Sarah's love did not end with their burial. It continues wherever covenant is remembered. Story 2. Romulus and Remus. In Roman tradition, legacy begins not in harmony, but in survival. Romulus and Remus were born into danger. Their mother, Rhea Silvia, was a vestal virgin, sworn to chastity. Yet she bore twins, said to be fathered by Mars, god of war. Their birth was political threat. Their existence challenged power. They were condemned, cast into the Tiber River to die. But the river did not claim them. The current carried them to safety. A she-wolf discovered the infants and nursed them in a cave beneath the Palatine Hill. Later, a shepherd and his wife raised them as their own. From abandonment came resilience. From vulnerability came strength. The twins grew with shared purpose. When they learned of their royal lineage and the injustice done to their mother, they reclaimed their grandfather's throne. But restoration was not enough. They wanted to build. Together, they chose the hills near the Tiber as their site for a new city. Yet even in unity, ambition created fracture. Dispute arose over where the city should stand and who should rule it. Romulus favored the Palatine. Remus favored the Aventine. An argument over omens escalated. In the struggle that followed, Remus was killed, by some accounts accidentally, by others, by Romulus himself. The city was founded in blood. Rome was named for Romulus. The legacy left behind is complicated. It is not a story of romantic love, nor of peaceful partnership. It is a story of brotherhood whose bond shaped an empire. From their survival, the rivalry emerged Rome, a civilization that would influence law, architecture, military strategy, governance, language, and culture across continents. Roman legal system informed modern Western law. Latin became the root of Romance languages. Roads, aqueducts, civic engineering, all trace their lineage to that founding myth. The twins' bond, fractured as it was, became foundational myth for an empire lasting centuries. Rome's identity was shared by the narrative of divine ancestry, resilience, ambition, and sacrifice. The wolf nursing the twins became an enduring symbol of the city itself. Their legacy is not a gentle inheritance. It is structural. The story suggests that love, whether brotherly or familial, can create futures even when imperfect. The foundation of Rome reflects both devotion and conflict. From shared origin emerged vast expansion. Romulus's act of founding did not erase Remus. His name survives only because their story is told together. Their bond, broken yet formative, produces a civilization. Legacy here is not purity. It is momentum. Their love did not produce a faith. It produced a state. And that state would shape the Western world long after their bones turned to dust. Story 3. The Yamato Dynasty. In Japanese tradition, legacy is not merely remembered. It is enthroned. The Yamato Dynasty traces its lineage to Amaterasu, the sun goddess, central deity of Shinto belief. According to Kojiki, the Nihao Shoki, Japanese oldest chronicles, Amaterasu sent her grandson, Ninigi no Mikatao, from the heavens to rule the earth. He descended bearing sacred Jalia, a mirror, a sword, a jewel. These became symbols of imperial authority. Through Niniji's lineage came Emperor Jimmu, traditionally regarded as Japan's first emperor. From him begins the unbroken line of the Yamato dynasty, the longest continuous hereditary monarchy in the world. Unlike Rome, whose founding myth is marked by fraternal violence, Japan's imperial origin emphasizes divine continuity. Authority is inherited not merely through conquest, but through sacred descent. Marriage within this tradition carried weight beyond affection. It reinforced bloodline believed to connect heaven and earth. The imperial household became living symbol of cosmic order. The emperor was not only political leader, he was ritual intermediary. Through ceremonies, seasonal rites, and offerings, the imperial line maintained spiritual harmony between land, ancestors, and people. The dynasty's legitimacy was not simply military, it was mythic. Legacy here is continuity. Centuries passed, governments shifted, shoguns ruled, empires rose and fell, yet the imperial line endured. Even when political power diminished, symbolic authority remained. The Yamato lineage became thread binding myth to nation. Unlike Abraham and Sarah, whose covenant created faith communities, or Romulus and Remus, whose rivalry birthed the city, the Yamato story constructs identity around sacred ancestry. It is less about a single dramatic moment and more about sustained transmission. Generation after generation, name after name, ceremony after ceremony, the emperor's role evolved through time, especially after World War II, when divinity claims were formally renounced. Yet the lineage itself remains central to Japanese historical identity. The legacy is not merely genetic. It is symbolic continuity. It represents a people's connection to mythic origin and shared heritage. In this tradition, love, expressed through dynastic marriage and inheritance, does not vanish into obscurity. It becomes nationhood. It becomes continuity that outlives individuals by centuries. Legacy is not only what one builds, it is what one maintains. And in the Yamato line, love becomes continuity woven into the fabric of a civilization. Story 4. The Anansi lineage. In ancient tradition, legacy is not carved in stone. It is spoken. Anansi, the spider, is not king, prophet, or emperor. He is a trickster, clever, flawed, ambitious, often selfish, occasionally wise. Yet through him, an entire cultural inheritance is carried. According to the Akan folklore of present-day Ghana, Anansi once sought ownership of all stories. At that time, story belonged to Niame, the sky god. If Anansi wanted them, he would have to earn them. Niame demanded 3 dangerous creatures in exchange: Onini the python, Osebo the leopard, and Moamtia the fairy. Anansi did not overpower them. He outwitted them. Through cunning and patience, he delivered each to Niame. Impressed, the sky god granted him ownership of stories. From that moment, tales became known as Anansesem, Nansi's stories. This myth is not merely entertainment. It explains why storytelling belongs to the people. Anansi's legacy is not a throne or a dynasty. It is a narrative itself. Through centuries, these stories were told by firelight. Elders passed them to children. They carried moral lessons, social commentary, humor, and survival wisdom. When the transatlantic slave trade tore Akan people from their homeland, Anansi traveled with them. In the Caribbean and the Americas, he became Anansi, or Aunt Nancy's. Tales adapted, survived, and continued to teach resilience under oppression. Empires fell, chains were forged, borders shifted, but Anansi endured. His legacy was not bound to land or bloodline. It was carried in memory. Unlike Abraham and Sarah, whose covenant birthed faith traditions, or Romulus and Remus, whose conflict founded a city, or the Yamato line, whose ancestry shaped a nation, Anansi's inheritance belongs to anyone who tells his story. Legacy here is cultural transmission. It survives because it is repeated. It thrives because it adapts. Anansi is not always virtuous. Sometimes he falls, sometimes his schemes backfire. But in every telling, listeners learn. Cleverness can overcome force. Pride has consequence. Community matters. The trickster reflects humanity. In Akan cosmology, storytelling is not trivial. It is education. It is preservation. It is resistance. Stories maintain identity when everything else is stripped away. Anansi's descendants are not biologically heirs, they are narrators. Each storyteller becomes part of his lineage. Each listener inherits wisdom. Legacy in this tradition does not require royal blood or sacred regalia. It requires voice. It requires memory. It requires willingness to pass something forward. Through Anansi, love for community expresses itself as preservation of culture. Elders who continue telling these tales enact devotion, not romantic love, but communal love. Their commitment ensures survival. Anansi may be small, but the web he spins spans continents. His legacy proves that love does not always build temples or dynasties. Sometimes it builds continuity through story. And story, once rooted in memory, can outlive empires. Hey everybody, welcome back in. You're back in with Jane and Mark over at Blue Box 29. Today is, one more time, February 24th. It is the legacy. So our theme was that love creates futures. Taking a look at our daily thread, legacy is love extended beyond this present moment. Abraham and Sarah trusted a promise that would shape faith for millennia. Romulus and Remus left behind a city whose law and language still echo. The Yamato lineage wove myth and monarchy into national identity. Anansi's stories carried culture across oceans when land and freedom were lost. What future will remain because you chose to love with intention today? So love becomes eternal when it builds upon itself. Straightforward what today is, right? Love beyond life. It's over, it's said and done. Here's what it did. Here's what it left behind. And the lesson is that love outlives bodies. Remember, it's just a vessel for our soul to be in. So, of course, love, if it's the purpose, if it's our reason for being here, if it's the big why, then of course it's going to outlive this.
Right.
But jumping right into the first one, the Hebrew one, we talked about that quite a bit in January, the Abrahamic religions, right? So Judaism, Christianity, Islam all come from Abrahamic line. This is the Abraham we're talking about. So the Abrahamic lines, literally Abraham and his wife Sarah. So all of this springing forward through an unborn woman, so people that weren't supposed to have a child. Not only that, but you need to leave your land. You need to leave everything behind. And then if you do, you will have a lot of children beyond your count, beyond what you could even fathom. And I think that that was not only promising the child that they had, but it promised everyone that follows any Abrahamic religion.
Yeah.
Because those are the stars too. Those are all children of those belief systems. So that's pretty crazy. And it all was just on the fact of leave everything you know.
Yeah.
Just leave it all and you'll have kids. And it's like, but we can't. But you will. Pretty giant leap of faith, we wouldn't see a whole bunch of that these days. No, because science. Where back then it really was, you have your faith, and I guess you'll never know.
Oh.
But the important note for this one is that their legacy is not biological, like we just said. Right? So it's not about the actual children they bore. I mean, it is. In terms of the religion, it definitely is. Right? But their union emerged a faith lineage that reshaped religious history. So the followers. So it wasn't only about who biologically came from them, but everyone that follows them, everyone that has faith in them.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows that love is rooted in promise and that can generate futures far beyond a single lifetime. So the children that come beyond you. That Abraham is regarded as the patriarch in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, while Sarah is honored as matriarch within Jewish tradition, but only Jewish. So that's interesting.
That is kind of odd, though. I wonder why.
So the second one, these are Romulus and Remus. These are have you ever seen the statue where it's like this wolf, this she animal, and there are two kids like suckling out of it, like eating the milk or whatever out of it? Yeah, so it's Romus and Remus. It's how they survived with the wolf, right? So Remus is the name of the wolf in Harry Potter, the werewolf, right? Remus Lupin. So that's where she got Remus from, was this story. But anyways, their love story is a story built on two brothers surviving abandonment, surviving exile, all of this terrible stuff. And they rose back up. And then, I mean, in one tale, Romulus kills Remus, right? In another tale, Remus just leaves. But they loved each other. They rose together. They survived together. And they created something that still governs today, right?
Yeah.
So that Roman Empire still, that Roman democracy, the architecture, that foundational stuff that is still running the world today, pretty much.
Yeah. So this right here.
hmm Yeah, that one. So their legacy is the founding of Rome itself. From their shared survival and rivalry emerged an empire that shaped law, language, and governance for centuries. Love and conflict together can generate civilizations. I mean, we see that all throughout every history, the love and conflict among like brothers, sisters, siblings, right? I mean, to the first siblings, Cain and Abel. I'm not saying everyone murders their siblings or something, but I'm saying there's been conflict since the beginning. And there could have been conflict before that, depending on if you believe in the interpretations of Lilith being Adam's first wife versus Eve, right? There was already conflict. So there was definitely a lot of tests, a lot of dynamics as to what is the relationship that perseveres through time, right? Is it the sibling? Is it the familial? Is it the partner? Like, right? And we get to see that throughout history too. And throughout the Bible, you see that. That's pretty cool. And so this is another story where, you know, regardless of the culture, regardless of the beliefs, that sibling rivalry does impact it. Because we can separate and we have two very distinct lines
Yeah.
where there is that potential animosity or that you owe me, you owe us kind of stuff. Story 3, though, I liked this one. I really liked it. I mean, we stopped and talked about it after
Right.
I did the story today.
Yeah, because I actually got to sit there and listen today when
All
we
the,
recorded.
yeah, I know that's the fun part.
Yeah.
Some days when we have the extra time.
Yeah.
But this one, all the way up to World War II. And we just watched in that show that I'm obsessed about, that I've talked about a bajillion times. So you guys are like, we get it. But anyways, it showed that when the Mongols were trying to invade Japan twice, right? They went twice and got hit by a once in a decade storm twice within 7 years, seven-ish, I think. And Japan was like, yeah, dude, no one will ever invade Japanese soil. Right? They got hit with a triple-decker natural disaster with the earthquake, the fire, the typhoon or tsunami or whatever. And then those winds blew the fire into like this firestorm, crazy. They survived that too. And so it's like, yeah, no one can invade our land. And it is because of that heavenly, we are the chosen people. And I mean, look at how long that dynasty lasted, how long it not only lasted, but was acknowledged.
Yeah.
Regardless of the type of rule that was happening in Japan, that was regarded. And those practices, and all the way up to World War II. And how we stopped and talked after the story, because Japan, just like Germany, was still heavily in that occultism.
Right.
All the way up to World War II. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Because you see that in the superhero movies, and it's just, oh yeah, the Nazis and Hitler loved Norse mythology. Well, because German and Norse mythology is the same, right? Germanic and Norse mythology are rooted in a lot of the same things, come from the same things. He was going to like Antarctica. He was in Norway. We have all this evidence that he was looking for these occultism things, evidence of it. And Japan just had this deep-rooted belief in it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's real.
Well,
like,
just because it was passed down. I mean, you're on an island,
oh yeah,
right? So essentially everything stayed within. It's just going to be passed down and passed down. And
your reality is your
like,
reality.
attack us? No, God's got us because we
Right.
are.
Yeah, we're
it.
impenetrable, so good try. And that's what's crazy is that, and people watching this will be like, okay, but America dropped bombs. Yeah, but did we invade?
Yeah, we never invaded.
We didn't like take them on their land.
There is a difference.
Yeah, but it's like we watch all this stuff, and who would follow these crazy people that were into, because it wasn't just Hitler, but who would follow these crazy people following mythology like Thor? He has a hammer,
There's also this
lightning.
conspiracy. Sorry, I'm going to go back to that thing before we keep going.
Okay.
There's also a conspiracy that we actually never did drop a bomb on Japan, but it was something else, but not a bomb. Yeah. So if you haven't, so
I'm
obviously by your
look at that. I've
reaction,
never heard that.
yeah,
And I'm like, what could it be?
recently,
My mind
not
was spinning.
too long ago, I just saw it that nuclear bombs aren't even real life.
What?
That part is a conspiracy to keep us afraid, and that's been the thing the whole time, is it's never been real,
So
like an
World War
actual
II was
nuclear
ending like
bomb.
the mythology, so making the occultism look absolutely foolish
Yes.
or demonic, right? Because now we have all of these access powers that are gross you, like we can't trust them. And they're all tied to this now.
So
So
that
that's
they
interesting.
they push it
And then
down,
they
and
used
now
that, and then they used the
today,
fear, so it got control
yes,
and it erased the other narrative as even potentially being factual,
right,
reasonable,
right.
logical.
Like it actually, yes, this really happened. So then, because of all that, now if you look today, all this stuff we're starting to look at and see that we're able to do, like heal our bodies with our mind. And we're actually seeing that all this stuff is real. Like scientists are backing it.
These sacred healing rituals of not only healing ourselves, but the communal process and the drug use and all this stuff. Of course, everyone's doing drugs, whatever. That's not what it was. These were ceremonies. This was
Yes.
practice. This was not taboo. This is the power of it, not to be
Don't
taken
abuse it.
lightly.
No,
Don't abuse it. You should come to me. I will give it to you. We will do it together though. But
yes,
you're getting to do it. And I'm making sure that you're safe.
yes,
I don't understand what's wrong with that. And it's not like it's meth or heroin or shooting up or stuff. These are natural substances
yes,
that we're seeing that, yeah, shaman, whether male or female, all throughout cultures.
yes,
It was just whoever had the gift,
yes.
whoever was attuned with it, because it wasn't something that you could
Because they were
fight.
more attuned with being open to that, to where like nowadays, if you live in a state where you can go to a facility and do that openly, or in a country where you can go do one of those openly, compared to where you can't, there's a big difference. Where you can go and be like, hey, can I have this? Okay, yeah, here you go. And then you sit in like a ceremony or something.
Right. So it's being like open and accepting to what the earth has. We don't need to create something.
Yeah.
When everything that we truly need has been given to us and grows with the seasons, and we take care of, and it takes care of us. Like that's kind of what it is.
Right.
Is the second we start putting that other stuff in it, we start adding our human stuff to it, that's when it gets
it's
out of whack. Because that's not what it's meant to be. It's not meant to be touched by humans, not meant to be manipulated by humans.
right. And
There
we
are
don't
some
even know
plants,
who, it's hard to know who is supposed to even be the one facilitating it.
right?
Unless you truly feel a calling to do it. But I think you would.
But then it's like, oh, well, we get anti-venoms, we get like like things that help with poisons and stuff out of all this stuff too. So modern medicine works. Yeah, but the animals, the plants are giving us those qualities.
Yes.
They're giving us those properties to do it, which means if we were all just shown how to do it, imagine if that was something you had to learn through the K through 12, how to utilize where you live, the plants to survive. And it came from the mythology and the lessons. That's how it was taught, and why and where it comes from, because it's easier to, like back when we could look at the stars and find our directions. And
Yeah.
we built giant things with the stars, like
Right.
the stars on, like it's just all this crazy stuff. and it's rooted in mythology, but that's the only place, so it can't be real. That's the only place that has any evidence of it, so it can't be real.
But yet all these things that are structurally, and we still can't technically prove how it was done, except through, if you start going, okay, well, through some sort of levitation. Now we're going back to this side of things,
What if
which
that's
is
what
great.
the moon was for, and it really is hollow, and they were reverberating that to move things on Earth, and then they were just like, oh, we don't need it anymore, but we'll just leave it there in case we need it again.
Yeah. That's why it goes boom. Yeah.
And it was just being moved around, and it was like ringing, so that whole continent, we could just move whatever we wanted there. Pretty interesting, because then we could connect all the continents with the pyramids and everything. Like those lines, what are they called?
The ley lines?
Yeah.
That's why I want to live on a ley line.
Yeah.
I wonder. Well, I know like energetically there's something in this house.
In story 3, the Yamato legacy lies in continuity. Through marriage and lineage, myth and governance intertwine for centuries. Love expressed as dynastic transmission can shape national identity far beyond individual lives. Far, far beyond. I had no idea, and it's really cool something too. Reading these, we are learning actual historical things through this too, and this is a major thing. I had no idea that that's the longest dynastic legacy in history. I had no idea that the longest one was in Japan. I assumed it was China. If I were to be asked, I would assume China. And it's just cool that it's like, no, Japan.
It kind of makes sense though, it being an island.
Yeah.
I guess it's like I was saying to my other point of not much change because you don't have much outside influence if you don't allow it to come in.
Right. And if people can't get in because of the waters,
Right.
like, and Japan, obviously, if they can't get in, Japan's the only people that are learning how to navigate those tides there,
Yeah.
learning how to recognize the storms, learning how to read the water and everything. I really liked story 4. This is the second time I've heard about Anansi or read about and worked with Anansi storytelling. And the time I heard it before, it was more about the trickery and the consequences that Anansi faced. This one was beautiful that it doesn't belong to one people, like it belongs to anyone who continues with the story, anyone who shares their story, anyone who speaks up, anyone who refuses to be silent. I think that's so cool, because that's reminding all of us that we are connected. We are connected, and an ocean won't keep us apart, right? Like an ocean just allowed it to spread farther. Like really. And now oceans to oceans, and now we're finding that people were able to walk actually. A long time ago, we're able to walk from continent to continent. And so it just says anyone that continues, any story is a part of the family, is a part of Anansi's lineage. And that's like everyone, every single person has the ability to be part of the family. They all have a connection to it. I think that's beautiful. The important note is that Anansi's legacy is not biological, but narrative. Through storytelling, culture survives disruption and displacement. Love expressed as preservation ensures that identity outlives bodies. Who we are will outlive who I am. And that's the goal, right? That's the purpose of love, is that we connect, right? And the purpose of this life is to love. So we're connecting. We're making connections. We. Because the second it's I, you take yourself away from the connection. I contribute this to the we. That's a whole different story. I'm able to do these things, like how we were talking about Arachne earlier, which is funny because Anansi is a spider as well. And so Arachne.
Yeah, that was the first thing that popped into my head as soon as it said that.
So Arachne, how it says in Ovid's Metamorphosis, he acknowledges she's right about her skills. She is doing that, but it was her pride of I am equal to the bigger grand scheme of things. I am equal to the bigger picture. No, we're not. We are equal to the bigger picture, but it's not a I am equal to this while everyone's a we right here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it was with that. That's what I thought of too. That's cool you thought of that too. All right. Am I talking too much, baby?
Nope, you're filling in all the blanks for me.
Cute. Okay, so February 24th, the legacy, our theme was that love creates futures, and our lesson was that love outlives bodies. We can see that through the religious stuff, through creating cities, through creating dynasties and empires, all the way to everyone's connection to the beginning. We have the question today that we're going to think about is, what does my love build? So we're going to think about today, what is my love's legacy? What does my love build? Our task for today is actually we're going to write something. So it's a writing activity. I think this one would be a beautiful one to burn for the fact to put it in the universe. So burning with intention that it will happen.
You're releasing it out.
Yes. So this is why. So what we are writing down is we are writing one hope forward, something we wish our love will create beyond ourselves. So today we are writing what we hope our love will leave and build when we are gone, beyond ourselves. And I don't mean gone as in we're dead. We're just gone from this place. We're gone from whatever. That's what we're doing today. And that's why I think it would be good to burn it and let it go out into the out. Maybe hopefully find a place or a time of the day where it isn't as cloudy.
Yeah.
Or there's at least some room in the air for it to get beyond the clouds, I think.
Energetically, it will splice right through it.
I know, but I just like allowing it, because then intentionally it's like nothing can stop it, because look, there's that spot it'll get through, you know. It will find its way through, but I just like seeing it. I like seeing where it will.
Right.
You know, because then I can kind of watch, and that's where I know it went to.
Yeah. It's beautiful that that's how you do it. I like that.
Thanks, baby. And then our application is that love outlives bodies when it is invested in what comes next. It only outlives us if it's doing something for the whole moving forward, right? If it's a lesson, if it's anything, right? It'll live beyond us. And unfortunately, that doesn't mean it's good, doesn't mean bad. It's both. You know, it will stay behind. So that is all that I have for you guys today. Today is February 24th, the legacy, love beyond life. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Think about, what does your love build? Right? That hope, that wish of what you hope it leaves behind, or what it goes beyond you to do. And then burn it and let it go out into the air. And we have 4 more days left of February, and then we're on to springtime.
Holy is out.
Yeah, and it's going to be mucky, though.
Some of these things.
Yeah, not right away in March, though, because it's Tog, but it's going to be a little mucky at first, but we'll make it. The sun will come again. Thank you guys for coming in.
Love you.